So we define that we have to discuss also, we talk about the nonprofit industry. And it is a mature nonprofit market. But the positive thing right now is most of the nonprofit organizations are focused on conservation, natural resources conservation, and biodiversity research. And what we want to do with our community development portion is more social and focused, as we said before, in children and orphanage specifically. Thank you.
And now I'm going to take you through a real brief SWOT analysis of the company, both internally and externally. First and foremost, strengths. Costa Rica makes a lot of trash. And the trash in the landfills leads to pollution. And the fact that this company and this plant is going to be pulling trash out of the landfills and going to be using that towards power, really pretty environmentally friendly product. So that's a strength we see. Now the strength is the nonprofit status of this company. It provides both tax exemptions as well as goodwill that for-profit companies aren't going to receive. Additionally, the experience of Bill Rush in Costa Rica. He knows Costa Rica, he's lived there for a very long time, and so he's able to utilize that knowledge to really to an advantage. Now, a weakness of this company, low power output. There's an opportunity cost here. Other power plants, coal or oil, others, or others, even hydroelectric, would provide significantly more energy. And therefore, that's a problem that needs to be overcome, mostly in terms of opportunity costs. Now, speaking of opportunities, we do see a few external opportunities here for the EcoPlanta project. First and foremost is the multiple revenue streams. There's not just selling the power to the grid, but there's also, as we've mentioned, the recycling that we pull out of the waste. And then finally, there's what's called tipping fees, or when trash is dropped off at the landfill, the people who drop it off essentially have to pay to use that landfill, and so instead of paying the EcoPlanta project and World Safety. So there's multiple revenue streams out there and available. Second, the power imbalance. Costa Rica takes more power in. It's like any kind of trade. Power is traded between countries, and they bring in more power than they send out of the country. And so this generated in Costa Rica from Costa Rican materials will help affect that. And finally, it's green power too. The country doesn't have to bring oil or coal in to create energy to affect this power imbalance. They're making it all environmentally friendly. Finally, the biggest threat is government bureaucracy. It's very slow to get things done in Costa Rica. It's a challenge, and so Bill Rush's challenge is to work with the system to continue to keep moving forward while dealing with that bureaucracy. So now I'm going to turn the floor over to Christina.
Thank you, Matt. We identified two main groups of target markets. The first is looking at specifically trash collection. How are we going to get more than just the 17 municipalities to drop their trash off at World Safety's facility? So specifically working with the 17 municipalities and continuing to grow that relationship with them. They're a huge part of it, as well as the local government and establishing ties and sort of facilitating those ties. And finally, and most importantly, for growth for the facility are local businesses, specifically looking at Dole and other agricultural businesses within the area. Dole has a heavy presence there. As Matt mentioned briefly in some of our opportunities that we identified for World Safety, they have a huge opportunity to gain business contracts with with companies within this industry, as there are so many of them, and the facility is very it's already set up to handle this. It's a modular system, so while it can continue doing what it's doing, it can also grow and expand to other industries. Looking at the second group of target markets is the sales and electricity as well as recycled products group. So this is looking on the other end of it. What are they going to do with the products that they are creating at the plant? The recycled products, we recommend targeting other manufacturers within the area to sell the products to, as well as the IC and the CNFL, which are both government institutions, to sell the electricity to. Evelyn?
Thanks. So World Safety's market entry strategy is really going to focus heavily on partnerships and strategic alliances. Because of the nature of the organization as a nonprofit, it's going to be a little easier for them to enter the country, especially since they plan on reinvesting in the local communities they live in and work in. But one key partnership is obviously Coprobo, which is the 17 municipalities we spoke of, and World Safety already has a 20-year commitment in place with them to provide the trash. Also, it's going to capitalize on Bill Rush's contacts and the company's contacts in the local government there, and continuing to build those contacts, as well as developing new contacts with local businesses. Finally, they're going to enter through a local manufacturing method. They're going to build a full-scale integrated production facility, which is basically the plant that we were talking about. And also the political environment really alleviates some of the pressure, some of the problems they could have entering, because there's a big need to reduce the balance payments in Costa Rica, specifically by reducing their purchase of coal and D2, which is currently powering their current power plants. So the government tariffs and incentives are in place, and as long as they can capitalize on their partnership and alliances, it's going to facilitate them entering Costa Rica.
So now, after explaining how the competitive landscape and the environmental overview, we're going to develop the market and mix. And I will start with branding. When we decided to define our branding strategy for the Costa Rica project, we went directly first for the source, the World Safety Organization in the U.S. So we identified components from their branding strategy that we could transfer directly for our project in Costa Rica. So the main two components that we defined was clean renewable energy and community development. And then another two, we thought, okay, but we have make all this analysis, country analysis, and industry. So we definitely thought that having two additional components like multi-stakeholder organization and to be a well-recognized, very efficient nonprofit, we have create a plus for the organization. Specifically, in developing countries, nonprofit are recognized like being really informal, and that will help to get more funds for the project that we want to launch in Costa Rica.
There are two products that come out of this project. The first one is electricity, obviously. It's a standardized product because you can't really customize electricity.